Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Fellow community conversation. Really excited about my guest today. I've been inspired by her since the first 30-day listing challenge. She was back at it again this year, and I just loved watching her evolution on social media. Jamie Williams with the Fulgenzi Sales Force. Jamie, thank you so much for taking a little bit of your incredibly busy day to spend with me and with the Fellow community.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to see you. I'm in fellow friend withdrawal right now. 30 days of the same faces day after day. And now I'm like, wait a minute, where did my friends go?
I feel that. I feel that in my soul. I'm the same way, especially with the 30-day listing challenge. I was the same way last year. Like when it ended, I was like, I don't know what to do with myself now. Like I don't get so used to talking to everybody and like being
Right.
super involved. So really excited for our time together today. And I love kicking off these conversations with just a little bit about you. How did you get started in real estate?
Well, my background's in design. And so I was in event design for a very long time and then transitioned into some marketing work. And Jim reached out to have me handle some graphic design for his business. My husband's our team lead and he's been at this for 30 years. And I was working with him on that, and very quickly afterwards, he said, I could really just use you to get licensed. If you wouldn't mind just getting licensed, and then I could have you do some other things. And then that, I think that was May of 2013. And it's just been sort of full blown after that. And he built a team after I came on board, and now here we are this many years later, still cranking.
So how long has the Fulgenzi Sales Force kind of been what it is today, or how did it evolve into that?
We're actually still really evolving. We've always been a very small team. We all produce about the same. There were 4 of us and a part-time admin, and we were doing about 60 deals a piece. Well, somewhere between about 50 and 60 deals a piece. And we were always somewhere in the top 3 for our board here, and that worked really great. And then unfortunately we had to let one go, and then we had another one leave. We were all, we'd all been in it since 2013 together, so that was a little bit of a blow for us. And we were adding. My son's now on our team and he's selling. Our admin decided to be licensed and she's selling. And so now I think we've added 5 more in the last 3 months or so. So this is a new thing for us. Everybody's in a different place. Everybody's relearning. So, we're kind of starting from scratch again, but everybody's doing well. And here we are.
I love that. And I love that you talk about like the ebbs and flows, because sometimes I think when people get into real estate, they just think it's all rainbows and butterflies, and starting a team can be rainbows and butterflies. But I think all of us that are in it know that that's not necessarily the case. And I'm sure, especially with like running a team, even more so, because there will be, people that stay on the team, people that leave the team. So what advice would you have for someone that's maybe looking to, start that team on how to stay resilient in those, the roller coaster ride that is real estate?
Well, I think a few things that we've learned along the way is people who are in real estate really do need some guidance and some follow. Not everyone can just come in, pick up, do the work, and sustain it. They get bogged down with deals. So, we're really trying hard to focus on maybe some more accountability. We've always been real sort of laxed in that. And, we did all those deals all those years without a CRM. If you look at everyone's desks, they're just paper, the back of a beer label, whatever it's written on, lipstick in the car on the back of something. And so we are, Remax picked up Bold Trail and provides that to us. And so now we're trying to get everybody coming in using that. And Jim bought the brokerage here in 2021. So that was another big shift for us. But I think if you're building a team, you do have to pay attention to what they're doing. It makes it really hard to produce while you're doing that. But it can be, it can be done. Jim's been selling and I've been selling, and our numbers haven't gone down since the team was built. But you do have to recognize that they don't know what they're, especially if it's somebody new coming into the business. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know the follow-up. They don't realize that, it's not a progression this way, that it's a tangled mess here. And it's, and oh my God, I'm doing awesome. I'm killing it. Oh my God, I suck at this. It's just some of that you need to prepare people for mentally. Because no matter how good at it you are, you do have days where it's rainbows and butterflies for about 10 minutes and then the storm moves in and you're like, what just happened? So yeah.
Yeah. And so I know that you mentioned Jim, your husband, is the team lead. Yep. Your son is also on the team. So what advice would you have? Because I think real estate is an industry that I think is a little bit unique in the fact that it sometimes becomes like a family business where there's so many fellow users that do have spouses, siblings, kids, all of that sort of stuff that are on the team together. So what's your advice for, just maintaining that family core unit, but also working together, how to do that cohesively?
Well, I love that. I love that we work together. I get to spend time with my kid that I would not normally get to spend. I think the struggle comes in when you don't set any boundaries at home, because if you don't, you're working 24 hours a day. Every conversation that you have is about real estate, whether directly or indirectly. And so I think you do have to kind of be careful about bringing it all home all the time. And there are some times where I'll say, can this wait until tomorrow? And if the answer is yes, then I'll say, then let's wait until tomorrow. Let's wait until we're back on the clock again. And, let's just have dinner and not worry about it, not worry about everyone else's problems tonight. But it does feel sometimes like it's just constant training. Like we're constantly training either on the phone and so you do have to kind of set some boundaries and ignore your phone once in a while and do all of that. We don't really have a time where we have problems because of deals we're in with each other, because we're all here to help each other. So that works out okay. But you do have to draw some boundaries. Otherwise, that's all you do is work.
I love that answer. And I think it's a powerful answer because it's something that goodness.
I'm kidding.
It's a powerful answer because I think that that's something that people really struggle with, especially like high producing real estate agents and their partners when they work together, is because you are always on and then you're together and it's so easy to get into that cycle where it becomes all about work. So I think that I love that advice. I know that's
well, and I'll say, hey, you don't have to answer the phone every time it rings, Jim, and then immediately answer my phone. I'm like, it rings. I have to answer my phone every time it rings. Sometimes I'm like, can we just leave them in the car? Let's just leave them in the car for dinner. Because, if 3 of you are sitting at a table and all 3 of you, are in this business, there is not a chance ever that someone's phone doesn't ring while you're having dinner. So
100%. It's funny you say that. I remember back, my dad was not in real estate, but when cell phones first came out, he left his in the car. And now 2025, you can't even fathom it.
I know. I try sometimes, honestly, to just leave it in the car. I'm like, nothing is going to happen in an hour that they're going to need me for. If they have an emergency, I'm not going to be the one. And that is something really to keep in mind if you're just starting. No one's emergency. There is no emergency in real estate that can't wait an hour for you to eat, take a shower, look your spouse in the eye while they talk to you. Otherwise you're like this the whole time they're telling me the story. And then I'm like, you didn't tell me that. And he's like, yes, I did. You were on the phone. That might have been TikTok. Been there. But you do take it takes some training on your own and some self-control to understand that even if you have a problem, you don't have to address it in the in immediately. And honestly, if you don't, sometimes it'll work itself out before you even have to get involved in it. And I've got a group of folks, we're called the gold diggers, not gold, not gold, I don't know. And I tell them that a lot. Let it work itself out. We've got one really driven girl on our team and she's doing great. But I do have to tell her, take a breath. You don't have to fix everything for everybody the moment it happens. Just they'll work it out if you just leave them alone. So, you know, you have to find that line between where you're helpful and not burn out.
100%. 100%. Now let's transition into Fellow. So I would love to hear, you've been on Fellow for over a year now. How did you?
I think I was really early.
Yes, you've been on for quite a while. So
yeah.
I would love to know, you know, how did you hear about Fellow and what drew you to the product?
So I think I heard about Fellow at a rate conference. I think maybe Ryan was pitching it at rate. And I have a little bit of a struggle because I'm on a team and anything I do marketing wise has a tendency to kind of just roll back into the team because the team name's on everything. And so, you know, it's hard to market yourself when you're on a team in a way that, you know, you're not just marketing the team, which is why most teams don't allow that anyway, because it does just, it's really hard to do. And so Fellow was a way for me to keep my name in front of my own clients. That way they would remember who I was for referrals. And it wasn't always just, oh, I worked with the Fulgenzi team, you know, and so I took that opportunity really early on so that I could communicate with my folks and kind of have it working when I wasn't so that they would remember who I was. And then I've used it to expand from there.
Very cool. And has there been any, you know, maybe one feature or one component that you have found exceptionally valuable to how you operate your business to staying in front of your clients?
Well, I feel like with Fellow, I'm not just shooting things out with no regard for where they're landing, if that makes any sense. So with Fellow, I can sort and find people based on what I want them to do or what I want to do for them with much greater ease than I can with any other platform. I mean, I can sort of sort in my CRM. I can, but Fellow has some opportunities that I just don't have in other places. You know, with the predictive scores, with length of ownership. The only way I could have done length of ownership before is to get in to the MLS and see if I could trace them back in purchases, which, I mean, that's crazy. If you've got, you know, if you've been doing this long, you've got a lot of people that, you know, I mean, it's hard. And it's also hard if you're farming. And so it's been great for me for that. I can sort people based on what I need.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And what sort of success have you seen, or do you have a success story that you could share through your utilization of Fellow?
Well, I know right now I'm doing some farming, some neighborhoods. We moved a couple years ago, and so we're kind of trying to rework the neighborhood that we're in now. And so I've started farming some neighborhoods close by, and I'm getting some responses. Whereas before, if I sent them a postcard and I sent them to my website, well, big deal. A, they're not going to go there. Two, they're never going to drill down because everyone has the attention span of about 13 seconds.
For sure.
But this is giving them something when they get in, you know, that they care about, which is the value of their home. And they're engaging more in that than they ever would have on my website, you know, because I don't really matter to them, if we're being real honest. You know, I mean, in a way, but especially the folks that don't already know me. So, you know, they can use me all they want for all the information on their house. I'm thrilled with that. And my next step with Fello is I'm going to go through some of these farms that I've started and do some dumpster days in the neighborhood. But I want to pick the neighborhoods based on longevity.
Okay.
Who's been there the longest? One, they're going to have the most junk, but also they're also going to be thinking about making a move if the average person here stays in their house 3 years. If I've got a neighborhood of a lot of people who have lived there 10 years, everyone's going to want in that neighborhood because no one ever leaves it.
For sure.
But so it's a good listing to have, but also, they're going to be thinking about going. And, the same with mortgage balances and things like that. If you've got somebody my age that's got their mortgage paid off and all their kids are in and out of college now, they're thinking about making a move. So I can sort of spend the rest of my marketing dollars where it makes sense instead of just going, okay, this month I'm going to do a dumpster day in this neighborhood with no background info.
For sure. I love that you're using it strategically and looking at that homeowner data, because that's where I geek out. I think
me too.
There is a lot of value in the automations, but I think there's so much gold in that homeowner information, and using that strategically, I think is just a game changer. So I love to hear that you're doing that.
Well, and thank God for Desmond, because during the 30-day challenge, he introduced himself and I've gotten a lot more use out of it because of asking the right questions during the challenge and trying to get as much out of it as I could. And he was like, well, why are you doing that way? That's so hard. Here, just click this button. And then it would all appear. And I'm like, God dang it, Desmond, where have you been the last 2 years? But that was my own fault for not investing in learning the product, because if you're going to spend the money on the product, learn it, take the time, do the webinars, do the stuff, because that's really where your profit comes out of. Is if you don't know how to use it, you're not going to make any money on it. So
for sure. Yeah. It's not something you just magic pill turn on.
No,
you get out of, I think that's with anything, you get out of it.
I'm even good with technology. I'm the trainer here for technology, and I can usually learn something on my own, but it still just makes sense to let your rep help. Because again, I was spending all this time making these changes, and he was like, please don't do that again. Please don't let me see you do that again.
I love that.
Right. I send him a message and he responds to me immediately and says, I'm available at this time. Let's get on the phone. I can just walk you through it. So there's no reason not to reach out.
Very cool. I love that you gave a shout out to Desmond. That's one of the things that I geek out over as well. It's just, we have a phenomenal success team, and anybody that engages with their success manager and truly utilizes them for the resources that they are, they're able to do so much in the platform that I think Fello's intuitive for sure, but just having that resource that's in it day in and day out and knows Fello like the back of their hand, it can just supercharge everything. So
yeah.
Final few questions. I would love just your personal opinion on the impact that Fello can have on the real estate industry as it continues to evolve, because you've been on for quite a while, as you mentioned.
Well, I think that we've spent a lot of time not knowing much about the people we were serving. In reality. And I know that artificial intelligence is a great tool. And I know from my own office that no one knows how to use it aside from maybe rewriting something for themselves. A listing description that sounds like they put it in ChatGPT immediately the minute they post it. Everything seems to be nestled in our artificial intelligence. Please stop using the word nestled. It's nestled right in the heart of this clover leaf on the freeway. It's beautiful. But I think that this is an opportunity for us to learn a little more about the people that we're marketing to before we meet them, and help guide us into that, where to spend the money, how to spend the money. This is a business where people tend to spend a lot of money on a lot of different products for a very short amount of time. They don't usually write it out long enough to know if the product works, because again, we're not really built for attention span in this job. And so I think this is a product that if you're invested in and can stick around and have the patience to learn it and use it, because honestly, the first year and a half. I think I got the product in 21. I think maybe early 22.
We launched this product in 22, so probably be late 23.
Yeah, I feel like it was spring. I know, I mean, we moved offices and it was in the old office. So, and honestly, I fed the information in and I did not do much with it until last year. I was having my worst first 2 quarters of a year I've ever had, and that includes the year I started. And I did the Fello challenge, and then I had a record second half of the year. And now I'm mad at myself because, you know, it would have been a record year for me if I had had the first half mimic the second half. But anyway, I can't go back. I did learn a lot. I did learn a valuable lesson. We have an inventory problem here still. Very, very problematic. Our absorption rate's like a week in our average price range. So that's tough when a week from now we wouldn't have anything to sell at all.
My market is actually the same. Like it's still like they pop on, they fly right off, and it's challenging.
Yeah. I have a buyer right now. The last 2 days, they've tried to make a sight unseen offer, and I can't even get in it to video with them before I write the offer because it's sold. It's just nuts. But with Fello, now I'm cross matching those people that I have with the people in my Fello account to say, you know, hey, I have a buyer. She can't find anything. How do you feel about a one-time showing? Let's just go out on a whim and see what you think. So I'm using it for that, but I don't even know what the original question was.
The impact you think it could have on the real estate industry overall.
Yeah. So. I mean, I do think it's going to help us manage our marketing dollars a little better and kind of focus on where we should be.
Very nice. Very cool. And then one final question. If there's somebody that's watching this that is either brand new to Fello or considering signing up, what advice would you give to them to make sure that they start with a solid foundation and can hit the ground running?
I do think that it's super important that they connect with their support there. And like I said, it isn't probably like some of the products that you've had in the past, because again, I run all of our tech here, and I know the turnaround time on a problem or a question is very slow with some of our other tools that we have here. And I do not have that experience with Fello. I had Lori at first. She was fantastic. And when I got Desmond, I thought, oh, great. You know, you never know what you're going to, and Desmond's been great as well. And I think, again, if you're going to use the product, invest some time in it. And so, you know, maybe if that means you have a month that is traditionally slower for you, invest that month that's slow in learning the product. If you don't learn it, you won't use it. And if you don't use it, you're not going to get anything out of it. So it just makes sense to invest the time in it.
Incredible advice. Incredible. I love that. So, well, thank you so much, Jamie, for your time today. Thank you to everybody for tuning in to my chat with Jamie. As I mentioned, absolutely love following you on social media. I love having you in the Fello community. And I just really value that you agreed to spend this time with me today.
Yeah, I was happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
You too.
See you next one. Bye.
See you later.